So up next is going to be Jeremy talking about JQuery and some templating stuff. And just so you guys know, he's using somebody else's computer. He has a Windows machine, he's using a Mac. So go easy on him. Let's see. Here's Jeremy talk.
I think we're actually waiting for Dave, but that's cool.
All right, all yours. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, so today we're going to be talking about, I'll get this fixed here. We're going to be talking about JavaScript templating with Spring.js and jQuery. You got my email there, so you can email me later if you need to, if you have questions. This project will be on GitHub shortly after the presentation tonight. My username is Lund in there. That's a 0 in the middle, so it'll be there in the next day or two. So you can go there and get the files. So with some of the requirements that our clients have for building dynamic applications, we're having to learn more and more client-side skills. The purpose tonight of looking at Spring.js as well as some jQuery templating is to look at alternatives that we may have to be able to use the existing tools and skills that we have to be able to take care of those requests that our clients might have of us. So first of all, what is Spring.js? It's a sub-project of the Spring Webflow project. It's comprised of two elements. Let me show you the diagram here, straight from the Spring website. I don't know what this did to my here we go. Okay. I see Chris feverishly moving up here. There we go. I'll sort it. Okay. So it provides two things. First of all, it provides a JavaScript integration layer with a Dojo toolkit that allows us to dynamically swap elements out of or page fragments out of our pages to provide dynamic functionality, as well as some client-side validation tools and whatnot. It also provides a Spring view resolver for Spring MVC so that it can resolve the views and be able to deliver various HTML fragments back to the page. The first thing I'm going to go over tonight is the client-side framework that they provide. It's laid out as 3 files. Here we have a page. Actually, let me show you the application real quick. So we have a simple welcome page here. Example 1 is a simple form. We've written this how many hundreds of times. You fill out information, you hit register, simple registration form, hit register. We've got some server-side validation on some of the fields to make sure that they're required, or if you enter, wrong birth date, that's a really ugly error, but you can put some validation into your pages just like we normally would. I actually should put this. I feel like I was born yesterday today. So anyway, this is server side right now. So this is our normal web application. We have our server side validation. This particular application, I'm using Spring MVC integration with JSR 303 validator. So I've got some not empty annotations on my form D. Nothing too fancy here. If you fill out the stuff all the way through. Hit register, it says thank you. It's not actually doing anything, it's just a form of a bean, but you get the general idea. This is what we've done, I don't know how many times. So the first thing that they provide some client-side validation that we can augment our existing Spring MVC app with. First of all, you need to include some items up at the top of your page. They provide a resource servlet. I guess I should start out with the JavaScript files listed up here. There's Dojo. It's Dojo 1.5, something that's delivered with the app, as well as you can think of this as like an interface layer, the Spring.js file. It's an interface layer that says this is the Spring.js API. Then the third file that you need to include, and that's very important, is an integration layer. This says this is how we've used Dojo to implement the Spring.js API. So you include those 3 files at the top of your page. There's also a resource servlet that you include in your configuration here to be able to deliver these JavaScript files. They actually exist in a deployed or in a jar that you include in your application. So including those 3 in there, what do they provide for you? Well, the first thing is they provide some client-side validation tools. So this is our welcome page. Let's go to our form page where we have that registration form. We've got the same files included here at the top, and we've got some items commented out. So suppose we wanted to do some client-side validation on our first name field, just using the Spring MVC form tags here. You could technically do this on a regular form too. It doesn't need to be Spring MVC, but I just happen to be using those tags. Right here below, you can include a snippet of JavaScript. They use on the client side the concept of a decoration. You're decorating a field and providing some additional behavior to it. This one here is got a little bit of Dojo specific stuff in it, or Dojo toolkit specific stuff in it, a validation text box. What I'm telling you is take the first name field and make it a validation text box instead of just a regular input text box. I want it to be required, and this is what I want presented if they have not completed the field. So let me report that. We'll go back to our form. So we did this just on the first name field. One thing I wasn't able to work out for this demo is that some of the Dojo styles were conflicting with my Blueprint CSS files. But you can see here, that's why the form field is a little bit bigger than the rest of them. Put in here, please enter first name. If I tap through saying, well, I don't have to enter one, it's going to give me a little bit of warning here. I can go back to it and enter a field in there, and it's not going to complain at me any longer. Okay. So that's the first thing that you can do. Additionally, you can also put something on the, so I've got a number of these validators in here, and in your, well, to include those in your own code when you check it out and look at it. One thing that they provide here as well is just, if you hit the wrong button here, let's see. Here is you can put a decoration also on your submit button, so you can say, make sure that all of the fields on the page are validated before enabling the submit button. So now, if I go back to my page, let's see. So now, I can sit here and hit this, and it's not going to go to the next page. It's not going to do my server-side validation. Of course, if I did do this, then it's going to enable that button. And we didn't put validation on the rest of the page, or the rest of the fields. But if we put that validation check on our other fields as well, then we could have that client-side validation here as well. Which, of course, you have the server-side validation to back you up if you have any problems. This, in and of itself, is not a reason to integrate Spring.js into your web application. We've done, I personally have not used this particular feature. I find some of the Ajax integration features much more useful. I just want to present this particular feature there. If you've got a team that's not very comfortable with JavaScript at all, this may be a way you want to do your client-side validation. Personally, usually use designers to do that, or write my own validation on the client side. What's more interesting, however, is page fragment management. So what I mentioned here before, looking at this diagrams, we have our Spring front controller here. This is the servlet that comes with Spring. Delegates requests to various controllers in our application. Those controllers then return a model in view or a view name. Really what it is a string that returns back, that it then uses to look up and determine what page should I present to the user when I combine the model, the data that they have, and put it on the screen. We're used to the internal resource view resolver. That's the one that comes with the default, and what it basically does is take the name that we presented to it, prepends a webin/JSP on the front, tags on the .jsp on the end, and you end up with this name that finds the particular JSP in your page. As you can see in our servlet config here. So we have, this is the default one here. Prepends this bit on the front, tags that onto the end, and that's our view name. What Spring provides, or Spring.js provides, is an additional view resolver it's called Ajax view resolver, Ajax URL-based view resolver right here. And it integrates with Apache tiles. What that does is it not only allows us to use Apache tiles in our application. Who's familiar with Apache tiles? Have you ever used it, heard of it before? Very few, okay, not too many. What it is it's a page composition framework. It allows you to define fragments of your page in different JSP files. And the definition, I'll show you that what we're using tonight here. Let's see here. this is an example of a definition file. So we can set up something like a layout and tell it which GSP files that we want to use, and then it also has things integrated into the page. So we have here a layout that will then inject two different pieces of information in, a sidebar and event list. And if we look at our, let's see, our page here, this is our layout, and you can see here it's got an insert attribute, sidebar, and event list. The way that it finds out what piece, which file or what data to put in those places is it uses this view definition here. It says, by default in our base layout, we want this particular file inserted where the sidebar attribute was, and where the event list one was, we want to use this list.jsp instead. We can then subclass that, if you will, or extend that definition by providing our own view names that extend off of that. Like I have an events list one and an events edit that extend off of that. This one just uses the base layout. This one overrides the sidebar with a different template name. So we can swap different files out and we can form a base layout. It's been around for quite a while, this build in the struts, but we're leveraging this within Spring.js to identify page fragments that we may want to refresh via Ajax. And that's where we can get the real payout. So let's look at a page where we might use this. So this is an event page. Let me see. I did not want how to look up. Okay, we'll try that. Okay, this is important to see kind of what's going on. So what's basically happening when we bring up this page? First of all, so this is a real simple page. We've got a list of different people here with dates and whatnot, and we might want to, and it's filtered by year. Right now it's doing 2011, if I can get the right, there we go. If we put it 2012, you can see it's changed this side of the page here. Keep hitting the wrong button here, I don't know what I'm doing here. Let's see. So 2010 you can filter through.
Two finger click is the right one.
Okay, and I'm actually just wanting the left list, so apparently I'm using two. Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so we have, we can order them and do all these different things. You might have noticed down here in my developer toolbar, I've got different requests that are going back and forth. We'll talk about those in just a moment, but let's load the access first. So first of all, we have our fragments here. We went to a controller. We still use our existing Spring MVC controllers that we would normally use. I'll send you an email right now, Joseph. Let's see here. Sorry. All right. Okay. So here's our controller. Okay. So we have the default thing on our event list. So I'm calling an event list, or rather events. The default one is this get method here. It's going to just go out and get some events and return those back to the page. The way that it figures out the view is, you can see it relates to a filter events method. This method right here is returning a model view that returns events. Events/list. So that tells it which view to come back to. And then we've got various model objects we're returning back. This is our piece of data that we're putting back to present. Going to our view definition. Yeah.
Sorry, I was trying to turn something off, but apparently I did something else. All right. Joseph?
Let's get a couple more people up there.
I know. Joseph has customized his map.
That's good. That's like a glove. That's why the glove doesn't fit me.
Turn off your Oh, it is running.
Yeah, I tried to do it off there. Thank you, Joseph. I hope I didn't divulge any company secrets there or anything. Just bring that up. Okay, so back to, I will try not to hit the wrong button.